Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about a new Huda beauty collection. She just launched 3 micro palettes, which I can't wait to show you, and also a collection of color changing lip balms. In today's video we are going to swatch all 3 of the palettes. We are also going to be doing one eyeshadow look with each, and we are going to try one of the color changing balms. I didn't feel the need to get them all because I definitely do not need them, but I got the color that I thought I would like best by the swatches I saw online, which was the green shade, which is called Matcha. So I cannot wait to try everything, show you all of the swatches. After we do the swatches and the looks, I'll be showing you the micro palettes next to some of the other palettes in the Huda Beauty line, the mini palettes that might have maybe similar color stories, so we can see what the similarities and differences are. And so I really hope that you guys enjoy all of that. If you're interested in purchasing anything from this collection and you want to help out my channel, please shop using the links I'm leaving you down in the description box, or if you see anything tagged right here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So as I mentioned, Huda launched 3 different palettes. We have Moss, Clay, and Amethyst. And here is what the outside packaging looks like for Huda's new micro mini palettes. These are part of her Glowish line, not the regular line, although I feel like the Glowish line is sold with the regular line, so I'm not sure what the distinction is there. So far what I had seen that was distinctive from Glowish versus her regular line is the recyclable packaging, I believe, and also when it came to complexion products, that the complexion products from the Glowish line seem to be more natural looking than the rest of her complexion products. But when it comes to eyeshadow palettes, other than having the recyclable packaging, I'm not sure what the distinction will be. I was trying to look for the recycled packaging aspect of this product because I definitely don't want to misinform you. And this says that it's 30% PCR, which means post-consumer recycled. So only 30% of this palette is recycled products. Anyways, the quads come with this plastic packaging. Let me show you up close. Hold on. Take a look right here. It says Glowish by Huda Beauty. At the front they have a clear cap, and once you open it, here is what the packaging looks like. This one here is the shade Moss. Here we have the shade Amethyst. Take a look right there. For the looks of it, each of these palettes are going to have 3 mattes and 1 not particularly sparkly shimmer. And then this one here is called Clay. And out of the 3, this light peachy one seems to be the most natural looking of all. Each of the palettes seems to have a light transition-y type matte, one that you can start deepening up things with, and then if you want it a bit more smoky, you can go with the darkest matte that the palette has. I feel like with Moss and Amethyst, it will make your look actually smoky. With Clay, it's just going to make it a bit darker looking, but it's not necessarily going to make it dark enough to be considered smoky for me. And then each of the palettes also has a shimmer that I'm sure is going to look beautiful in the center of the eyelid, but like I said, it's not particularly sparkly. They seem to be plain shimmer shades, nothing particularly sparkly or exciting. So let's go ahead and start with the swatches. I'm going to begin swatching the micro mini quad in the shade Clay. Okay, these quads formulas actually feel extremely creamy, which immediately prompted me to look at the back of the palette to see where it is made. And these quads are made in Italy, and they have a 24-month shelf life. I don't believe that these shades have names, so I'm just going to go ahead and swatch them for you, and you can see how creamy they are. I didn't go over them twice. This is a one swatch wonder right here. Just like I suspected, they felt extremely creamy going onto my fingertips, and they swatched extremely creamy as well. So here are the swatches of Clay. And I'm actually pretty surprised in an excellent way that these micro mini quads are made in Italy, because usually Huda makes her smaller palettes in China, majority of them, if not all of them as far as I'm concerned, and they usually don't have the same quality as her larger palettes, which are always made in Italy. So I'm actually very surprised and very happy that she made these in Italy, because the formula immediately felt creamy and rich and luxurious and pigmented. Let's go on to Moss and swatch these shades. These also felt really nice and creamy. I feel like the mattes are definitely what make these palettes exciting, because the shimmers really are okay, but you guys know I like my sparkle. However, the mattes do feel very creamy and they're very pigmented, so I'm excited to play with those. Here are the swatches of Moss. And finally, let's swatch Amethyst. Amethyst has a pretty common color story, especially for Huda Beauty. She loves her mauvey purpley types of tones. Take a look at the finger swatches. Another shimmer red. Alrighty, and here are the swatches. Nice and creamy. Even this lighter shade, you can definitely see it when I turn my camera right here. It is very similar to the color of my skin, but you can see it. And then the shimmer red. So take a look right here at the swatches of Amethyst. Now, as I said, I'm going to do an eyeshadow look with each so that I can kind of show you the potential of each one of these squads. However, the first look, I'm not going to even put mascara on, because I want to immediately take it off to move on to the next one, and I'll leave the last two looks on and I'll put mascara on those. Anyways, we are going to get started. This is a Sigma E28 and I'm going to go for the lightest of the matte shades first. I'm going to begin by tapping that color. See how pigmented that is? That is the lightest shade. Tapping that color on the outer corner and blending it into my crease. I'm not wearing primer, but I did put a little bit of my MAC Everywhere pen, whatever was left on my sponge, on my eyelids. Anyways, here is that light color blended, which I have not stopped talking the whole time since I first put the brush on my eye, and it's already blended. So I gotta say, I'm really happy with the formulas. I took a little bit more of it just to intensify things ever so slightly. And here's that shade all throughout the crease and the outer V of the eye. This is an E24 from Sigma, and I'm going to grab this shade right here because this is actually the lightest shade, not the one I just picked. So with the actual lightest shade, I'm going to soften the top edge and warm up things a little more up here. And then I'm going to grab this orange color right here, still using the E24 from Sigma. And I'm going to tap it right on the outer corner and slowly blend it into the rest of my shades by doing teeny tiny little circles with my brush. In the center of the eyelid, I'm going to use the shimmer shade, which is a gold, and I'm going to just tap it in place right through the center. Look at me eating my words. It does have like a teeny tiny bit of sparkle in there. I didn't even see that sparkle when I swatched it, but I see it now. E57 from Sigma, and I'm just going to define the eyelid a bit more. For the under eyes, I'm going to do the orange shade. This is a reference number 26. And I'm going to swipe it right underneath my eyes down here. And I'm grabbing the more taupey shade with the tip of the reference number 24. And I'm going to smoke that out right under the eye. Alright, so without doing eyeliner, mascara, or lashes, take a look right here at the final look with the clay quad. Like I said, the matte shades are pigmented, they are creamy, they are rich, I like them. And the gold shade in this palette, I mean, none of these shades are overly special. I think it's more about convenience, but I do like that the gold shade does have a bit of sparkle in there, which I was not expecting because it didn't look like it had any sparkle, but there's some sparkle. So I'm going to wipe this off because I want to do the other two looks, and I don't have 3 eyes, I only have 2. I'm reapplying my MAC Everywhere pen on my eyelid, kind of as my primer, and underneath as well. And let's move on to the Amethyst palette. I'm starting with my reference number 15 brush and the transition shade. And I'm going to back and forth blend it all throughout the crease of my eye. This is the shade that barely showed up on the back of my hand because it's so similar to the color of my skin, but as you can see on my eyes, it works nicely as a transition shade. With a smaller blending brush, I'm going to use this color up here, and I'm going to further blend these shades on my crease. So I stamped it on the outer corner first, and then I'm very easily blending that color into the crease of my eye. And honestly, I wouldn't even need to go darker than these. I love the way that looks on my eye. Now, you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of red shimmer shades, so I'm going to end up probably not loving this look as much as I like it right now in this moment before I add the shimmer shade. So in order to enjoy it a little bit longer, I'm going to leave the shimmer shade for last, and I'm going to go into the darkest shade of the palette and continue to darken up the outer third of my eyelid with that shade a little bit more. And this is, I believe, a Sigma E27. Yes, a Sigma E27 brush. So back and forth, just working that dark burgundy color into the outer third of my eyelid. Let's make this one a halo eye so that the red occupies even less space. So I'm adding the darkest shade to the inner third of my eyelid and blending it into the crease. Still using the Sigma E27 and just blending that shade into the crease of my eye. And now inevitably we have to use that red. So with my finger, I'm just going to pat it right here in the center. This look with a light shimmer in the center would be epic, okay? And this red doesn't even have any sparkles in there. Take a look right there. The matte's excellent. The shimmer, meh. For the under eyes, I am blending the darkest of the mattes right in between my lower lash line. This is a reference number 26 brush, and I'm going to grab the lightest shade and smoke out the under eye area. Just back and forth, blending everything. Take a look right there at the look I did with the Amethyst palette, which certainly could benefit from an inner corner highlighter and also something more sparkly in the center, but whatever. Last but not least, the Moss Quad. Transition-y taupey color here on a reference number 15. And I'm going to stamp the color on the crease first, and then we start blending. This is the grungiest, darkest one of the quads, I believe. Also the one that is most cool toned. So I'm blending that cool toned shade all throughout the crease of the eye. With my E24 from Sigma, I'm going to go straight into the darkest mattes. And I'm going to add it right here on the outer third of my eyelid. I stamped it on the outer corner of the eye first, and now I'm going to back and forth blend it all throughout the crease and into our transition color. I feel like it doesn't even look green. It just looks like a dark gray type of shade. For the eyelid, I want to use the lightest shade, which in this case is not the shimmer. It's this light matte green color right here. This is a Sigma E57, and I am going to pat the matte on the inner half of my eyelid. Just packing it on so that it looks nice and vibrant. I don't feel like these tones of green are the most flattering on me. But let's keep going. I have to use the shimmer shade somehow, so I'm going to grab it and I'm going to add it right between the light green and the smokiness of the look, right back here. Here is the top of the moss look. It's a lot darker than I anticipated. I really thought that the light green color was going to be lighter and more vibrant, but it actually goes pretty dark on me as well. I'm taking the darkest of the matte green shades and I am going to smoke the under eye with it. So with the reference number 26, I'm just blending that color in between my lower lashes. And I was going to go for the taupey shade to smoke it out, but I want to go for the light green. This is a Sigma E27, and I'm just going to go right under the smoky shade down here. Okay, so to complete these eye looks, I need something in my waterline. On my red burgundy eye, I'm going to use Cocoa, which is an eyeliner from Laura Mercier, and it's like a dark brown with a strong reddish undertone. Take a look right there. And then for my green eye, I'm going to use this one from Too Faced, the Killer Liner in the shade Killer Camo, which is a beautiful and creamy olive green shade. I feel like both of these eyeshadow looks are in desperate need of an inner corner highlighter. So I'm going to grab my I Need a Nude palette and the shade Mia first, right here. And this shade I'm going to add to my warm look, right in the inner corner. And a little bit over the red as well, because why not? Just a little bit more shine, you know? And then I'm going to also grab the shade Sheen right here, which is a warmer shimmer. And this one I'm going to add to the inner corner of my green eye. A little bit more sheen right there. And a little bit in the center down here. So before any mascara, here is the Amethyst look with an extra little bit of shine. And then take a look right here at the Moss look, which is definitely darker and grungier than I expected. Let me finish up my face. I'm about to put mascara and blush on, and I'll be back to try the lip balm and also tell you my final thoughts on each one of these quads and the collection overall. I am back with mascara on, and I also went ahead and put on some blush. Let's go ahead and move on to the next and try the Matcha Glowish Super Jelly Lip Balm. Here's what the outside packaging of this one looks like. This one has a 12-month shelf life. It was also made in Italy, and it doesn't say that it's made out of recycled material, but it does say that this type of container is 100% recyclable. Here's what the outside packaging of these look like, and I picked the shade Matcha because it's supposed to be a green shade that turns into a very light pinky shade. So let's go ahead and try it. I don't have anything on my lips right now. Oh, it smells really good. And take a look right here at what it looks like on. I feel like it enhanced the color of my lips a little more, and to some extent it made them more like pigmented looking. Here's what it looks like on the back of my hand. As you can see, it doesn't really look like anything, but on the lips it definitely makes them a little bit more pink than they were to begin with. Additionally, I have to admit it feels delicious on, and it smells really good, like a sweet scent, but it's not overpowering. I could leave it just on its own, but I want to do a lip liner around it. So this is my I Need a Nude lip liner from Natasha Denona. I put it all around my lips and I blended it in a tiny bit. And so here's what that looks like, which I really like. And before I give you my final thoughts on the collection, we have some comparisons to do. These are all of the mini palettes that I pulled from my drawer because I felt like they maybe have something similar to the ones we tried today. For instance, here's the Warm Matte Obsessions next to the Clay palette. As you can see, the Clay palette has a lighter color story and a shimmer, which this one doesn't have a shimmer. Formula wise though, even though this bigger one is made in China, this formula is super creamy and pigmented as well. I have no complaints about the formula in this one. So if it came to these two, just because I have more options and more variety, I would keep the Warm Matte Obsessions rather than this one. But like I said, it's just because I have more options with this one than I do with the quad, which is obvious. Here is Clay versus the Caramel Brown Obsessions. Now the Caramel Brown Obsessions, the formula of these is trash. So in this case, I would totally recommend the quad versus the big one because I don't like the quality of shades in this palette at all. Here is Clay versus the Tiger Wild Obsessions. The Tiger one is much more yellow in comparison, but in case you were curious, I wanted to put them side by side. Moving on to Amethyst, here is Amethyst next to the Cool Matte Obsessions from Huda Beauty. Between these two, Cool Matte Obsessions is definitely the winner for me. I love this palette with a passion. The formula is super rich and pigmented and beautiful. So I much prefer the bigger one in this case. And as you can see, you can definitely have similarities in the color stories. Here it is next to the Sand Haze Obsessions, which they're not twins, but they're definitely kind of sister palettes, right? Now, I don't love the formula of the Sand Haze Obsessions, and I do love the formula of the cute little Glowish one. So in this case, I would recommend the Quad. The Nude Rich is one of my all-time favorite Obsessions palettes, and I would totally recommend it over the Quad, just because you have more options in this one, and the formula is pretty good. Love Fest Obsessions is not that similar at all, but in case you wanted a comparison, here's a side-by-side. And I feel the same way about Wild Chameleon. Not too many similarities between these two. And I mean, if I had to choose between these two, I would obviously keep Chameleon because I have a lot more option here. Lastly, we only have a couple of green palettes to compare Moss to. One of them is the khaki one. As you can see, the undertones of the greens are very, very different between these two, and I love the khaki palette, so this is definitely my preference. And here it is next to the Python Wild Obsessions, and as you can see, the color stories of these two are pretty different. So let me give you guys my final thoughts, starting with the lip balm, because this is the easy part. I like it, it's cute, I see myself continuing to use it. The formula is great, it smells delicious, but at the same time, there's nothing revolutionary about this one. So like if you're in the market for a new lip balm, it's cute, why not get it? But I don't think that this has any properties that'll make it stand above the rest. As far as the quads are concerned, they are tiny, and so because of that, they are very travel friendly, and they do have really beautiful formulas, especially when it comes to the matte shades. I love the matte shades. Now, if it were up to me, which obviously is not, I would have tweaked the color story of these a little bit, specifically to give them lighter, more sparkly shimmer shades, because as you saw before I added the sparkles onto my shimmers today, the shimmers in these palettes, in particular Moss and Amethyst, are very dull looking, and I feel like the mattes are so beautiful and so pigmented and so dark that they deserved a better shimmer to accompany them, which makes these palettes cute, but I just know that they're not going to become favorites because I just needed a little bit more from them, and I didn't get that. I definitely wish that the shimmers would have been more special because the mattes are excellent. The mattes are incredible. The quad in the color Clay is the one that I was most impressed with overall, because of the shimmer. Once again, because the shimmer shade in this one did have a little bit of something extra, a little bit of something special. And so for that reason, this one right here is my favorite and my most recommended. But ultimately, I just don't think that anything that was part of this collection is an absolute must-have product. If you think you're going to use it, go for it. If not, I would just say this is an easy skip for you. September is around the corner, and I'm sure the holiday releases are coming. And so for that reason, I just don't think that these quads are must-haves at all. So those are my thoughts on this collection. Nothing screams I need to have you right now, but I was very happy with the matte formulas. The matte formulas you are not going to be disappointed in because they are creamy and pigmented and soft and rich, etc. If you guys like today's video, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up. Before you leave, if you're interested in anything I talked about today, check out the description box for the links, and that is all I have for you. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye.